Luna's evening shifts at Poppy's Cafe were usually calm. At 28, she enjoyed the routine of serving familiar faces, regulars who liked their coffee hot and their conversations nostalgic. The cozy cafe in a quiet corner of town rarely had any surprises, but tonight was anything but ordinary. Just as she was about to start closing up, the bell over the door jingled. Luna looked up, expecting to see a late-night customer grabbing a quick cup of coffee. Instead, her breath caught. Walking through the door was Elon Musk, one of the most recognizable people in the world. He strolled in casually, as if he belonged there, though his presence immediately filled the room with an almost tangible buzz. Heads turned, and even the regulars, who rarely cared about celebrity gossip, were whispering among themselves. Luna's heart raced as she watched him. She had seen Elon on TV, read about him online, and followed his groundbreaking work. But seeing him here, in her small cafe, was something else entirely. He looked tired but carried himself with that same quiet confidence she'd seen in interviews. Without hesitation, he sat at a booth by the window, gazing out at the dimly lit street. She took a deep breath and forced herself to approach his table. "Hi there," she said, offering her best welcoming smile. "What can I get for you tonight?" "Just a black coffee," he said with a polite nod, "and maybe a slice of whatever pie you've got." "Sure thing," Luna replied, trying to sound calm. As she turned to the counter, she felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her. Some of the regulars were murmuring to each other, and a few didn't look too happy. She wasn't sure why, but the energy in the room had shifted. Shaking it off, she poured his coffee and plated a slice of warm apple pie. When she brought the order to his table, he looked up briefly to thank her before turning back to the window. He seemed lost in thought, and Luna figured he just needed a quiet moment. Back at the counter, she pretended to focus on cleaning, but couldn't help stealing glances at him. There was something intriguing about seeing someone so larger than life in such an ordinary setting. Despite the whispers and curious stares, Elon seemed unfazed. Not everyone shared Luna's admiration. Frank, retired regular who was never shy about speaking his mind, got up from his seat and walked over to Elon's table. Luna tensed, not sure what he was planning to say. "Hey," Frank said, loud enough for the whole cafe to hear. "Aren't you the guy who helped start OpenAI? You backed them, didn't you?" Elon set his coffee down, meeting Frank's gaze. "Yes, I was involved early on," he said evenly. "So why'd you sue them?" Frank pressed, crossing his arms. "Now you're building your own AI company. Seems a little hypocritical, don't you think?" Elon sighed, his tone calm but firm. "I have concerns about where OpenAI is headed. AI is powerful, and I believe it needs to prioritize transparency and truth. That's why I started XAI, to ensure those principles are at the forefront." Frank scoffed, shaking his head. "Sounds to me like you're just after control. Couldn't get what you wanted, so now you're going your own way to make more money." A few people in the cafe murmured in agreement, while others stayed quiet. Luna noticed a flicker of tension in Elon's posture, though he kept his composure. "It's not about control or money," Elon said, his voice steady. "It's about responsibility. AI is going to shape the future, and I don't want to look back and regret not doing my part to make it safer." Luna had been listening intently, her chest tightening as she watched the exchange. The judgment from the regulars bothered her. To Luna, Elon Musk represented ambition and progress, a man who took risks to solve big problems. Sure, he had his critics, but wasn't that true for anyone trying to make real change? Before she realized what she was doing, Luna stepped out from behind the counter and walked over to Frank's table. Her voice was steady, even though her heart was pounding. "Frank, I get it, you're skeptical. But you can't just dismiss someone like that," she said, glancing at the other customers who were watching. "This is a guy who's done more than most people ever will. He's helped advance space exploration, renewable energy, and even donated to hospitals and schools." She turned to the room, her voice growing more confident. "Technology's not going to stop evolving, whether we like it or not. If someone's working to make it safer and more ethical, doesn't that matter? Elon looked at her then, his expression softening. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes, but also gratitude. Luna felt a surge of courage as she stood her ground, the whispers and stares fading into the background. She could tell he hadn't expected anyone to defend him, especially not a waitress in a small, quiet cafe like this. Luna kept going, her voice growing stronger. Just because he's trying to make something better doesn't mean he's only in it for the money. Isn't that what innovation is? Making things better. The room fell silent. Some people looked surprised, while others still seemed doubtful. Luna had served these people for years, bringing them their coffee and pie, laughing at their stories, and being part of their daily routines. But tonight, she felt like she didn't belong. Her boss, Mr. Smith, walked in from the back, his expression serious as he saw the tension in the room. He glanced from Luna to the customers, clearly trying to understand the situation. "Luna, what's going on here?" he asked, his voice firm. She hesitated, swallowing the lump in her throat. "I was just standing up for Mr. Musk," she said softly, but with a trace of defiance. Mr. Smith frowned deeper. He looked around at the regulars, a few nodding in agreement with each other. "Luna, I admire your passion, but our regulars are the heart of this place. We can't have arguments breaking out over any customer, famous or not." "Mr. Smith, I wasn't arguing." He held up a hand to stop her. "I've made my decision. I think it's best we find someone else for your position. You can finish out the week while I look for a replacement." Luna's heart dropped. The cafe had been her comfort zone, a place where she felt at home. She never imagined standing up for someone could cost her job. She looked around, catching the smirks and whispers of some customers who were clearly entertained by her misfortune. She felt tears threatening to spill, the humiliation washing over her. Elon, who had been silently observing, stood up. He looked at Luna with a mix of gratitude and regret, clearly aware of the trouble his presence had caused. "Thank you for standing up for me, Luna," he said softly. "But I don't want to be the reason you lose your job. I'll leave." Luna blinked back tears, giving him a small nod. She was grateful he understood. As Elon left, the bell above the door jingled, and the room grew unbearably quiet. She felt every set of eyes on her, their judgment weighing her down. The next morning, Luna returned to work with a heavy heart. The restless night hadn't helped. The thought of finding a new job was daunting, but facing the regulars again after what happened made her stomach churn. As the lunch rush started to settle, the doorbell rang. Luna barely looked up until she heard quiet whispers ripple through the cafe. When she turned around, her breath caught. Elon Musk was back, standing in the doorway with a calm smile. He nodded politely at the curious onlookers and walked to the same window table as the night before. The cafe fell silent, all eyes on him. Mr. Smith stood nervously behind the counter, clearly uneasy. The regulars from the night before glanced between Elon and Luna, wondering what was happening. Luna took a deep breath and carried over a cup of coffee and a slice of pie. "Thank you," Elon said as she set the items down. Luna managed a polite smile but didn't linger. She tried to keep busy, half expecting him to leave quietly after finishing his coffee. But Elon stayed, sipping slowly, occasionally glancing her way. Finally, he caught her eye and motioned for the check. Taking a steady breath, Luna grabbed the card machine and walked over to his table. Sliding his card into the reader, she gave her best professional smile. "Thanks for coming in again," she said softly, still feeling embarrassed about the day before. The room buzzed with quiet anticipation as everyone watched, waiting to see what would happen next. Elon met her eyes, his expression softening. "Luna, I just want to thank you for standing up for me last night," he said, his voice low but full of sincerity. "I know it wasn't easy, and not everyone would have done that." Luna glanced down, a small smile spreading across her face. "I just said what I believed," she replied, her voice steady. "I don't think anyone should be judged without knowing the whole story." Elon nodded thoughtfully and leaned forward, his tone quieter. as though he wanted her full attention. After I left here last night, I couldn't stop thinking about what you did. It stuck with me. So I spoke with my team, and we'd love to have someone with your kind of integrity and heart on board. Luna froze, her hand still resting on the card machine. What do you mean? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, unsure if she'd heard him right. Elon gave her an encouraging smile. I run a foundation, and we're always looking for people who genuinely care about others. There's an opening at our call center. It's not glamorous, but it's steady work, and who knows? It could be the start of something bigger. Luna's stomach fluttered with surprise. She felt her heart race as the weight of his words sank in. He was offering her a job, a real opportunity to do something different, something meaningful. I don't know what to say, she stammered, blinking back a mix of shock and gratitude. Just say yes, Elon said with a soft chuckle. We'll figure out the rest later. Without hesitating, Luna nodded. Yes, I'd love to, she said, her voice filled with emotion. The cafe was silent, with the regulars exchanging glances. Some looked surprised, others sheepish, while a few just watched, unsure how to react. Luna felt a growing sense of joy and relief as she handed Elon the card machine to finalize his payment. After entering his PIN, Elon handed her the receipt and stood to leave. He gave her one last nod, his expression kind. See you soon, Luna. My team will be in touch. With that, he walked out of Poppy's cafe, leaving behind stunned regulars and a waitress whose life had just taken a completely unexpected turn. Luna stood frozen for a moment, her heart pounding. By standing up for someone she believed in, she hadn't just defended him, she'd opened the door to a life-changing opportunity. What do you think inspired Luna to defend Elon Musk in the cafe, even though it cost her job? Do you think her actions came from admiration, or was there something deeper at play? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.